Всем привет, дамы и господа, с вами Алекс Назаренко. 20 худших пекарей в шоу Celebrity Bake Off. Давайте посмотрим, как знаменитости пекут. Сгорели.
WatchMojoUK, and today we're looking at the absolute worst bakers on Celebrity Bake Off. These are celebrities that just cannot knead a dough to save their life.
Have you tried eating it yourself? Ah, no, I'm good.
О! Блин, он, конечно, поднялся. Он в жюри шоу «Британские таланты», бля.
We'll be considering celebrity appearances on the Great Comic Relief, Sport Relief, and Stand Up to Cancer Celebrity Bake Off series. Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to
Мне
get
нравится
notified
британский
about our
акцент.
latest videos. Number 20, Judy Love. The wonderfully bubbly comedian
Есть Джуд Лоу, а это Джуди Лоу.
Judy Love certainly brought her signature energy to the
Подождите, она не снималась в Майнкрафте?
bake-off tent, but sadly her baking prowess didn't quite match her effervescent personality.
They like my idea, so I'm happy with that. I just need to question on this because I don't know if it tastes orangey enough, to be honest with you.
On the My Celeb...
I just need to question on this because I don't know if it tastes orangey enough, to be honest with you.
Даниэль Брукс. Перепутал.
On the My Celebrity Crush Showstopper
Прическа
challenge,
просто похожа.
Judy opted to immortalize none other than the Neighbours singing heartthrob, Jason Donovan. As you can see, unfortunately, the resulting cake looked so off the mark that even Prue Leith's most generous smile couldn't disguise the fact that this particular Jason Donovan had, shall we say, seen better days.
Judy, will you tell us all about your childhood celebrity crush? Don't say Humpty Dumpty.
Luckily, it tasted alright.
Это похоже на Humpty
This
Dumpty.
one off looks alone, even though judges did say that Jason was
Поэтому на
slightly
последнем месте.
overbaked.
А так заебись.
Oh my god, it was awful, but you know what? I'm happy with it. If I'm honest with you,
Ну, раз ты довольна, то и заебись.
Number 19, Alex Horn.
Alex's structure will be constructed with an unlikely
Картофельный.
ingredient, a bangers and mash version of choux pastry.
Taskmaster's very own little Alex Horn strolled into the tent with his usual air of slightly bewildered genius, and for his showstopper, he decided to recreate a vibrant skate park. Now, if you thought this man would bring any kind of reasoning to the
С колбаской, блядь.
ingredients, you'd be wrong. But the result does look quite funny.
I'm really not looking forward to cold.
No.
Ты чё, блядь, рофлишь, чтоб холодная подала? Типа погрей нахуй, ёб твою мать, мужик, ну пиздец.
Savoury, if we're brutally honest.
It's more fun for me than you, definitely.
While certainly geometric, Alex's skate park became an instant
Кстати, это Алекс Хорн тоже комик. Короче, комиков здесь будет дохуя, я уверен.
classic for all the wrong reasons. The entire structure was, in polite terms, somewhat wonky. But the funniest part goes to the judges' reactions. It had Paul and Prue completely shattered. Paul couldn't help but question the so-called savoury shoe cake ahead of him, and it's easy to understand why it was laughed at. It's just not a good sign when a judge takes a bite and starts cry laughing.
Do you want me to take it away and put it immediately
I'd like
in the
you
bin?
to take
Yes,
it.
please.
Да, убери нахуй, фу, блядь.
I don't think you should subject any of your classmates to this.
Тебя, блядь, забулят
Thank you for your
нахуй.
comments.
Number 18, Alan Carr.
What are you two
Car.
fussing over there about?
About how bad your mixture looks?
Давай будем честными, мы привыкли говорить правду. Твой торт хуйня.
Now, Alan Carr, the nation's favourite chatty man, had quite the colourful showstopper. He
Ну, я
made a
вижу.
magnificent rainbow-themed cake. And
Осуждаю, как это запрещено на территории Российской Федерации организация. 5 суток за нужны сережки.
just saw the final result, you would be forgiven for thinking it looked all right. While Prue Leith described it as wonderfully imaginative in concept, her follow-up assessment of the execution was delivered with a pretty long pause, leaving everyone in no doubt about its actual quality.
I think it is wonderfully imaginative.
да.
Execution is not exactly professional.
As if they
Нихуя
hadn't
не-
already killed Alan,
Нормально.
Carr joined in afterwards and tested its structural integrity, or rather the complete lack thereof, by picking up a slice of the sponge cake and breaking it apart with a loud snapping sound.
You really shouldn't be able to snap a
Ёб
sponge.
твою мать.
You're just being picky now.
Of course, Alan himself described his creation as a war crime. So if you had been paying
Молодец.
any attention during the process, it's not like you'd have high expectations anyway. Number 17, Tim Minchin. As brilliant a comedian as Tim Minchin is, he proves that intellect doesn't
Ебать, у него
necessarily
желтков,
translate into
нахуй.
baking acumen.
Put this berry in here, which is heavier than the meringue, which is sitting alright, and I'll see how it goes over
Just
time.
looks weird.
Что за
It looks like
пиписька?
a not very well endowed
Yeah.
wizard.
His meringue tower showstopper was less of a towering achievement and more of a leaning monument to despair. Although he did try to save towering achievement and more of a leaning monument to despair. Although he did try to
Отчаянию.
save the situation with some of his wit.
Symbol of the uneven distribution of wealth in society, with the 99%
Ёб твою
clumped
мать,
around the
как
bottom, and the
заумно.
very few wealthy at the top there with a big gap in between.
While judges might have been looking for a well-structured, perfectly piped meringue tower, they instead got an accidental and edible socio-economic critique.
Ёб
It did
твою мать.
taste great, but how do you even manage to botch the look so bad? It was a truly British moment, a baking disaster so profound it could only be explained away with highbrow philosophical reasoning. Whilst it was definitely funny, he fails a bit in baking.
It's great. It's just a shame, you know.
I'll carry that regret for the rest of my life.
Ну, короче, тут, я думал, у всех будет вкусно, но, блядь, ёб твою
David
мать,
Schwimmer.
вид.
And my expectations are so low that that I think I'll do.
У меня
really
получится комедия. Я ж комедийный,
Friend
я
sweetheart
известный.
David Schwimmer, who you might best know as Ross Geller, brought his
Ага.
typically earnest character to
Даже
the
те, кто не
bake-off
смотрели, друзья, все знают его как Росса Гелли.
event. While his first
Yeah.
bake went well, for his showstopper, he went for something a bit more daring, in the form of a meringue rabbit. It started out looking perfectly fine too. Unfortunately, it had been the victim of a few accidents and quickly turned out more like Bugs Bunny
Ёбаный
if
в
he made some
рот.
questionable decisions in life. The slightly surreal, rather unsettling creature looked like it had been in a minor
Задумка
altercation
его
with
разъебала.
Just making a surreal sculpture, parts of rabbit all over the stage.
While David and his bake isn't the worst this show has ever seen, it's still a perfect example of good intentions paving the way to the funniest, most comical disasters.
I think you're very artistic. I think you're very driven.
Вы очень
and obviously
творческий,
very
но
natural
пиздец,
baker.
чё вы нахуй
It's
творите?
lovely. It really is good.
I'm really happy and exhausted.
Я очень счастлив, я очень устал.
So I'm gonna go.
Good night.
Number 15, Stacey Solomon. Surely you can't be the most competent baker or even cook if you don't even know how to properly use an oven. Such is the case, at least for beloved singer and presenter Stacey Solomon.
Oh my god! Someone get him away from me!
Заебал этот мужик.
With the pressure of baking scones, Stacey, in a moment of pure brain freeze,
Она
had
сожгет
to
нахуй
turn
весь
off the
шатер.
setting entirely and realized it too late as well.
How do I turn the oven off?
With
Я
just
чё
20
ебу?
minutes to
А ты ж
go.
сказала, мне это не нужен. Ну давай, сучка, сама разбирайся. Ха-ха-ха-ха.
Stacey's discovered her oven was on the wrong setting.
Пиздец, она тупая.
Like a true
You're right.
professional, rather than calmly attempting to salvage the situation, or perhaps just accepting her fate, Stacey, with the clock ticking relentlessly, decided it was for the best to scrap everything and start over right at the end of the challenge. Obviously, you don't need a pro to tell you
Когда
that
ты
Stacey
решаешь
was
начать сначала, это может быть хорошо. Но, блядь, не под конец.
depth when it comes to operating
Как человек, 90, которого 99 лет, такой, блядь, хочу начать жить заново.
an oven. She nailed her second attempt, but not without the help of Sandy.
Get away from my oven. That's not my fault. This is the
Иди отсюда нахуй, мужик, блядь.
fault.
Пошел нахуй.
Number 14, Joe Sugg.
Joe and I have come up with a fantastic idea for a YouTube channel.
Are you trying to get down with the kids again?
Yeah, so Joe come up with a fantastic idea for a YouTube channel.
Are you trying to get down with the kids again?
Yeah, so Joe is in a tent baking.
Don't you think that's a little bit like our show?
Oh,
Typically, Joe Sugg is pretty level-headed, but what happened during this challenge can only be described as cartoonish. Fair warning, this is the type of thing that sends shivers down your spine. Joe somehow managed to cut his finger open while attempting to
Да
cut
ёбаный
an
ты
apple,
в
and in
рот!
total slapstick fashion, he calmly exclaims, "I've just sliced my finger open really bad." And in total
Как? Я, блядь, резал пальцем витрину в GTA 5 РП, когда на практике отодвигал шкафчик. Я, блядь, на практике ножом, блядь, пальцем. Яблоко, блядь. Яблоко, нахуй.
To slapstick fashion, he calmly exclaims, "I've just sliced my finger open really bad. Help."
Oh. I just sliced my finger open really bad.
Сука, маленькие шрамики остаются, конечно, когда я тоже картошку чищу, например, но...
Help. It might be a bit morbid, but it's...
Помогите, я поранил свой пальчик.
That we just can't help but laugh at. It's just dramatic enough.
Ха-ха-ха! Какой неуклюжий пидорас.
And so perfectly British.
Is he okay? He's not well. Is he not?
Ему нехорошо? Ну пусть идет нахуй с этого шоу, блядь.
Cut his finger and he's like, he looks like ashen. The color of it.
Ну и хуй с ним, умрет и умрет. Смерть к нам лицу, я Эмма.
Bless him.
Из 1970-го.
Okay. Oh, yes. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Now he was actually named...
Да, вот ты чем, блядь, меня отвлек, я там сидел, что-то делал, а ты, блядь, с своим пальчиком.
Our baker for his overall performance, but failing to even cut an apple safely, landed him this spot in our video.
Вот так, нахуй.
Number 13, Lucy Beaumont. If you were to picture your perfect day off and turn it into a cake, would it look like this?
Ёп.
Well, she nailed her quiche with this.
Надеюсь, это черный пирог. О, киш.
It became clear that Lucy had a rocky relationship with baking, to put it mildly. Throughout the challenge, she struggled to make something even resembling a single cohesive or appetizing bake. What was meant to be her entry for the technical challenge had Paul immediately thinking it had been dropped.
I think this has been dropped.
Yeah, this is a fair old disaster, if I may say so.
Have you ever had broken biscuits from market?
And it only got worse.
Ребят, испорченное печенье, да, всех было.
Day off, which turned out to be a complete mess. Just a random rock-hard mound of cookies and flour.
Can I just take this a second? That's your cake? That's your sponge?
Number 12, David Mitchell.
Obviously, it does look, it does look,
disgusting.
Yeah.
We all know David Mitchell can
Yeah,
pull off
right.
some of the funniest, most well-spoken rants on earth, but he really can't pull off a pavlova, or at least he couldn't in this technical challenge. What was supposed to be a delicate dance of crisp meringue and soft, airy interior became somewhat of a catastrophic failure, shall we say.
Sensed waves of disapproval about my choice of the metallic as something for a food to look like.
Окей, я поменяю форму.
The gunmetal grey of interstellar travel. What could be more delicious?
What he produced instead was a thick, dense, and utterly un-pavlova-like dish
Ага.
of baked egg white,
Где красный, блядь?
to a fossilized frisbee rather than a delicate dessert. The beauty of David's failure was totally resigned, yet hilariously articulate.
Вот и сам жри нахуй.
Bacon skill, which is very much in line with the David we all know and love. We really can't compliment his baking skills, but he did leave us in stitches.
I was very pleased, so much so that I'm taking some of my pies home.
Ну, надо ж пожрать, пока домой еду.
Well done, everyone, particularly me.
Number 11, Victoria Corrin Mitchell.
I read somewhere that if you chop onions underwater, then your eyes don't strain.
Если лук положить в воду, то будет заебись. А так?
But how can you chop things underwater? You can't.
Вот именно, бля.
Savory muffins can be quite a divisive topic in themselves, even just upon hearing of it. Why do muffins need to be savory? Well, what if we like them?
Vegan.
Connect host Victoria Corrin Mitchell set out to ask these questions right here on Bake Off. If you aren't put off by the words Bloody Mary muffins,
Bloody
these
Mary.
are just for you.
I'm basically just putting in the things you put in a Bloody Mary. How much Tabasco is that?
What most people would
похуй взял бутылку, бля.
consider to be questionable is nothing but another dessert for VCM. Unfortunately, they didn't turn out as well as intended, and instead of a savoury delight, judges were in for a bit of torture. For what it's worth, it was pretty creative, but maybe creativity isn't what Victoria needs. And that showstopper didn't hit either. Fun ideas, not so fun tasting.
I think they're such fun. They're a beautiful colour, but for my taste, I'm not really enjoying them.
Number 10, Lee Mack.
I used to share a flat with Noel, and he couldn't cook. He was useless. And here he is, the face of British cooking. How did that happen?
This final...
And here he is, the face of British cooking. How did that happen?
This fine fellow, who you may know as Lee Mack, opted to do what he does best in this bake-off challenge, quick-witted comedy. Deciding that his baking talents weren't quite cutting it, he sort of gave up.
Это я когда что-то нес куда-то, что-то на кухне, я тоже так.
Went for juggling eggs instead.
Does this worry you? Be honest. It's worrying me. Okay, that went wrong.
It would have been great if he could have juggled them into a stand mixer instead, but he just dropped the eggs. It might have been part of the bait, but it didn't save his turnovers from being a total disaster. Suffice it to say that sometimes it's probably for the best to simply lean into the chaos. At least he produced a few laughs.
Do you know what, Lee?
Что?
No, really?
The thing is...
Ты хуёво, блядь.
No, really?
The thing is... The thing is... How long did it go in the oven for?
Did it go in the oven?
Да, они похожи на то, что было в духовке.
Martin Kemp.
Anyone who takes a bite out of anything that I've ever made, I wait to see their face and their reaction.
Я не охуели, какое говно, блядь, я приготовил.
Cooking for Paul and Prue, there's a lot of pressure in that.
Martin Kemp of Spandau Ballet stepped out into the hollowed...
Подождите, что?
Prue, there's a lot of pressure in that.
Martin Kemp of Spandau Ballet stepped
Он из Спандау балет? Чё? Надо проверить. Нихуя. Ну вообще никого не знаю за эту группу, как, блядь, зовут. Я знаю только God! Always believe in your soul. You got the power to know you're indestructible. Always believe in... А еще, знаю, от WatchMojoUK еще. Я узнал про вот Gold, когда смотрел рекламу немецкой дискотеки 70-х. Там был отрывочек одной британской группы ABC. The Look of Love. Мне понравился, скачал. И вот Gold еще скачал, охуенная песня.
Full composure of a pop legend, but in a moment that has since become a classic celebrity bake-off blunt.
Было бы прикольно, если бы, знаете, участвовали эти господа из Spandau Ballet, ну, а кто там, может быть, не хотели друг друга... Короче, ладно, хуй с ним. Главное, что у нас тут есть участник Spandau Ballet.
Confused buttercream for his cake mix. In other words, he baked frosting.
What's happened?
I'm cooking the buttercream.
What?
He's not.
Oh, dear.
Он вообще духовку не включил.
What the heck is that?
That is a disaster.
That's the sort of basic fundamental mix-up that makes you question anybody's credibility in the kitchen. This mistake would end up setting the stage for his remaining bakes, which turned
Бля,
out
мне нравится, когда челик всегда одевается модно. Этот принц Чарминг.
slightly rushed. Even national treasures can get stage for his remaining bakes, which turned out slightly rushed. Even national treasures can get bewildered by the simple act of baking, it would seem.
I was expecting a stage.
Well, you're expecting a lot, Paul.
I was expecting a stage.
Я хотел увидеть сцену, ё, блядь, вы же были популярны в 70-х, чё за нахуй?
Well, you're expecting a lot, Paul.
Охуительный ответ, блядь.
Number 8.
Слышь ты, блядь, охуел, много хочешь.
Flower. It's going to be lined with this beautiful ginger crown.
So have you practiced this, Munya?
I like to go by instinct.
If there's one thing we could say to these Ed Sheeran cake pops, it's that we're in love with the shape of them. Only the king of satirical impressions, Munya Chihuahua, could come up with something as brilliant as these. Proposing to craft edible cake pops depicting the varying emotions of Ed Sheeran, cake pops emerged rather unstructured. Prue, ever the purveyor of precise critiques, was quick to comment on their good looks.
They do look like Ed Sheeran, don't they?
But after all,
Ну, они хотя бы рыжие, как сам Эд Ширан.
Were still soggy and raw, as Paul described. Munya's self-deprecating response only sadly further cemented his place as a wonderfully terrible baker.
It is raw.
Well, look, I can do better next round. Let's shake.
В следующий раз мы тебя нахуй не позовем, уходи отсюда.
Yeah, absolutely.
Number 7. KSI.
Believe in myself. I can win this. I can get that apron.
Я могу получить фартук. Я получу колпак, чтобы прикрывать свой гигантский лоб.
KSI may be a colossal YouTube personality and rapper, but he's not exactly known for his delicate touch in the kitchen.
Oh, it's hot. Oh.
It will be. It's been in an oven.
Охуеть! То, что было в духовке, может быть горячим.
His appearance here on Bake Off only cemented that even further. While attempting a lattice cherry pie for the technical challenge, a bake that requires plenty of precision and a light hand, the resulting product was, in a manner of speaking, to die for. It doesn't help that he broke down into laughter over his own mistake of flipping it upside down onto a dish.
Are you going to serve it like that?
The judges did
Что?
down onto a dish.
Are you going to
Блять!
serve it like that?
The judges did their best to avoid tasting it, which is no wonder considering how his fondant fancies right before this went. It didn't take much for his competition to do substantially better.
I don't even want to taste it.
Are you not going to try a slice of it?
No, would you like to try some?
No, I'm fine.
Number 6, young Philly.
Я
Get
проебался.
ready to dive into a truly spectacular episode of baking and
Неумемное
I have
лицо.
a feeling mine's going to come out really nice.
up against the challenge of making chocolate fondant puddings, a bake that demands absolute precision and, well, at the bare minimum, correct ingredients. Popular content creator young Philly had completely forgotten to add flour.
Заебись!
Yes, the very foundation of
Все жидкое, блядь.
most baked goods.
Oh, I forgot the flour. Oh, I've lost. I forgot the flour.
Oh, you forgot the flour too?
I forgot it, Gareth.
And as you would expect, the resulting chocolate masses had literally zero structural integrity. Fondants are notoriously temperamental even at the best of times, and they demand a perfect balance of flour to rise correctly. As you can imagine, the result was quite deflated and sad, and the reactions were quite priceless too. But you could also at least hope that it was a learning experience for young Philly.
Don't eat it all at once.
Number 5. Nick Hewer.
I'm making choux pastry with letters and numbers.
19 миллионов просмотров в клипе у него. Год назад последнее видео вышло. У него было видео, связанное с выпечкой. Клип 19 миллионов. И 8 миллионов подписчиков.
Oh, for cancer.
Exactly.
Oh, that'd be great.
You may have been caught in this bloke's piercing gaze on The Apprentice before, but he sported one of the funniest expressions ever right here in the Bake Off tent. Every whisk of a bowl, every glance at the oven, every Paul Hollywood critique was met with the look that conveyed a man struck by a primordial fear of God, wrestling with the existential dread of underbaked pastry.
Just wondering whether I should have had that heart checkup before or after coming here.
Бля.
I'm an old man.
You've got to commend him
Да,
for being
нормально.
a survivor, but as for carrying himself, he seemed to be completely stunned by the pressure.
Oh my God. They won't renew the contract, you know. It's awful.
Даже крем сосет.
Of God.
Так,
Every
этот
whisk of a
господин.
bowl.
Letters and numbers.
Для пизды.
Nick Hewer.
I'm making
Old school grime artist, big number of God, wrestling with the existential dread of underbaked pastry.
Just wondering whether I should have had that heart checkup before or after coming here. I'm an old man.
Отставной британский телеведущий, охуенное описание. Директор компании, по связям с общественностью Суиндона, советник Алана Шукера в британском телесериале, ученик с 2012 по 2021 году программы «Обратный отчет» на черном канале с Рэйчел Райли и Сьюзи Дент. Ему сейчас 81, нахуй.
You've got to commend him for being a survivor, but as for carrying himself, he seemed to be
I'm
completely
a survive.
stunned by the pressure.
Under pressure.
They won't renew the contract, you know. It's awful compared to them.
Number 4, Big Nasty. The old school grime artist Big Nasty brought his strongest baking game to the tent, and while his personality was a delight, his baking skills were distinctive.
I've got heavy hands.
Я могу вообще, блядь, яйца рукой раздавить.
Look at that. Look at this butt stiff.
Like a beautiful woman, very gently.
Ah.
But that's not passionate if it's soft like that.
Oh, sometimes.
О, я помню, как свои года меня парзанится.
Bakers are supposed to showcase their personal baking styles. Big Nasty delivered what were affectionately and hilariously dubbed doggy biscuits. They were meant to be an edible self-portrait, but he failed in the funniest way possible. You know how you've got to roll out the dough and then use the cookie cutters? Well, Big Nasty decided to do it in hand instead.
This one looks like a dog.
Some dogs over here.
Yeah, there are some real dogs over here.
A questionable decision that would confuse even the youngest amateur bakers. Looks like the pie afterwards had Paul shook as well.
Tell you what, the pie, that has got a lot of very nice
Какого
chili.
хуя? Чё, блядь?
Number 3, James Acaster. James Acaster put up one of the funniest fights on the show, if you could call it that, and came up with some of the most legendary answers to the judges while attempting to fend off the criticism. In the signature challenge, Paul humorously called James's flapjacks a little wet looking. Of course, James was ever so quick to retort.
Oh yeah, that's because it's not baked yet.
Молодец, блядь,
Fortunately,
гений.
and hilariously enough, the mixture remained wet for the entire
Ёбаный
process.
гений.
The disaster would only continue
Зелёными
further as a
волосами.
technical challenge, with Prue exclaiming,
All I can say is it does have the ingredients we gave you. There.
What more could you ask?
and even with his
Чё
showstopper,
хотите от меня, блядь?
Gave you. There.
What more could you ask?
Я же, блядь, это... Сделал?
and even with his showstopper, containing what James described as sweet egg flavour, it seemed like judges were doing their best not to rip into him. It seems baking just isn't for you, James.
I thought, even if baking goes badly, it's a bit of fun.
Я своими остроумными ответами так повеселил, всех так повеселил.
It's not. No, not disappointed. Scarred.
Number 2, Roisin Connerty.
Trying to relax, but I'm really not able to relax.
Now for a woman who set a completely new bar for the rest of the celebrity bakers, Roisin Connerty. Of course, if you've seen the episode, you know she didn't exactly raise it. There were numerous mistakes, like, for instance, completely forgetting the ingredients in her own cupcakes mid-bake. Beyond the culinary amnesia, she consistently produced bakes that were, to put it politely, rustic. Her gingerbread resembled something that had been unearthed from an archaeological dig rather than lovingly baked. Although she did try, as Paul went on to say, that was the worst gingerbread he had ever had.
Well, the flavour would be good if it was cooked.
Is it completely raw?
Pretty raw.
Number 1, Jamie Lane.
This is nothing like my mum made it. Nothing. My mum was like a lot higher than this. I don't understand why it's not as high.
And for the most terrible celebrity baker, the man whose culinary ineptitude left judges' taste buds scarred for life, Jamie Lane. Despite his great-great-grandfather inventing the digestive biscuit, it seems baking talent isn't inherited, but
Ну, прадедушка изобрел, а этот, блядь...
Inventing the digestive biscuit, it seems baking talent isn't inherited, but rather learned.
Why wouldn't mine be the best? Why couldn't they be?
Мой дед изобрел диетическое печенье.
Yes. He's baked the most infamous banana loaf in existence by somehow deciding to throw all his ingredients into a food processor simultaneously.
Зачем?
It turned out as a
Зачем?
dense, rubbery, greyish mass that looked straight out of a horror movie. And to solidify Jamie's position as a disaster artist of sorts, Paul declared it the worst cake anyone had ever baked him on the show.
That has got to be the worst cake that's ever been baked in the tent.
Долбоёб.
Not that Cruz spat it out either. He may be charming, but he's no baker. Who do you think is the worst celebrity baker to appear on the show?
Вот этот челикс, блядь. Ставьте лайки, подписывайтесь на канал, жмите на колокольчик, чтобы не пропускать новые видео, пишите комментарии, ставьте комментарии, телегу. С вами был Александр Заренко. Всем спасибо за просмотр. Всем пока.